What's going on, everyone? First of all, I want to say a massive welcome to episode 1. And second of all, I just kind of want to tell you guys that this humble home setup is just temporary to lockdown. And post lockdown, we have a studio and mics and everything planned. So stay tuned and enjoy the video. How's it, Tom? How are you?
Robbie, how's it going, buddy?
Good, man. Thanks so much for coming on. It's awesome to have you.
Let's relax, man. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Just trying to keep busy during lockdown and everything. But yeah, and yourself?
How's that going?
Yeah, it's alright. I've been playing quite a bit of Xbox and all that. And then obviously working on this. So yeah. And your side?
Yeah, it's been quite a busy week actually.
Mm.
Let me just see if this was my paper.
So yeah, where my manners. Cheers. Cheers. Yeah,
Right,
perfect.
cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Treat it as a win, eh?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, buddy. It's been a very busy week actually, but cool, but quite busy. Yeah, but it's all good.
Busy's good. Anyway, so just before I get on to the sports and the stories and the laughs and whatever, I just kind of wanted to tell a story of how we got in contact. So this is just for everyone at home, whatever. So before lockdown and everything, I decided, cool, I'm going to do to-do lists, whatever, keep it going, keep the momentum of the year. And then on the top of my to-do list was just to find out more about sports psychology, because that's kind of the route I want to go. And then I decided, cool, I know Tom Dawson Squibb, and I've heard a lot about him. So I sent him a DM, I slid in, I decided, cool, I'll shoot my shot there. And then a couple of days later, nothing. So I was like, cool. I was quite deep into Ash's career mode with the Proteas, fighting for a Proteas cap. And then I got a response from him late at night, and to say the next morning, let's call. So I went straight to bed, did the whole win the morning, draw the day type of thing, and did my stretches, called him, and he gave me so much advice and actually invested time into me that he didn't have to, which is cool, and it kind of speaks volumes of the kind of leader that Tom is, and he's been so helpful so far. So thanks, Tom. Thank you very much. It's awesome to have you.
No, cool, buddy. You've done well. I think. Please tell me what "win the morning, draw the day" means, though.
Well, win the morning, win the day, but sometimes you just can't win it.
Okay, cool. No, I must say it's been lucky to see what you've done. I think I actually did a little video today, and I was saying shit, man, now's the time for people to try stuff.
Yeah, totally.
You got to get stuff out there, and I think it's awesome to see how you've accelerated this. I think I take no credit, but I know that you were wanting to maybe write this, and the next thing I know, 2 weeks later, you've got a podcast or whatever we're calling this going, and your Instagram's going mad. So well done.
So just an introduction to Tom for the guys at home. So Tom, you've worked with a whole bunch of different sides over the years, ranged from SA Golf, SA Rugby, Ajax Cape Town, and even the Melbourne Rebels out in Australia. And you're the current leadership and performance coach for the Stormers and the head coach of the Ike Tigers. But Tom, you're not just a pretty face that knows a little bit about rugby. You have a master's degree in organizational psychology at the University of Cape Town. And you mentioned to me that you kind of fell into this work with a little bit of luck or whatever. Do you kind of want to explain to the guys at home and myself actually just how that all went about?
Yeah, certainly not the pretty face, because I missed out on that. Buddy, I was lucky. Yeah? I left varsity, and I actually I had a few months of not doing anything, and then I'll try to keep the story fairly short. But I went into sort of the leadership and change space. I didn't really know what I was doing, so I just did stuff at schools. My goal, some basic leadership stuff, and then I got asked actually at Rondebosch, which was my old school, to do and yours to do work with the first team. So I did a few sessions like setting goals with them and making leadership groups, and then I did the same with Paul Boys the next year. Anyway, I did that for a bit, and then I got out of it. I went into marketing for 6 months. I was cuck at that, and then I decided to start my own business in working with sports teams. So I think I was 25. I was 20, maybe 26 in 2010, and then I yes, I sort of hacked around a little bit, try to get some help from people. Pretty much doing what you're doing as well, but I was a bit older. But then I was quite lucky. I started working with Western Province under 21. Well, I say I started working with him. I asked the coach at the time, who's now the Stormers coach, John Dobson, whether I could do a session with his team. And he said yes for some reason. And I did a session, and then it went half well. So he said, we'll come back on Wednesday, do another one. Then we played the Bulls on the Saturday, and they beat the Bulls. So he said, no, well, that's great. Why don't you come and do 2 sessions with us this week before the Sharks?
Awesome.
And the Sharks had we'd lost to the Sharks. We got pumped, I think, in the round 1. In those days, under 21 was double round. And I did some sessions, which were a little bit out there, to be honest. And we won. So they were like, sweet, you've got to stay with us till the end of the campaign. So anyway, we got to the final. We won the semi-final in extra time. We got to the final in Durban. So Dobbo's very generous. I'm sure he paid for the flights. Got awesome. Me to go to Durban. So I went to the Currie Cup final, and we won the Currie Cup final.
Jeez, awesome.
We had a few coolies after the game. And
as one does.
As one does, yeah. And then we were sitting with Rassie Erasmus, who was at the time the Stormers director of rugby.
Yeah.
So he then sort of said to me, geez, why don't you do some work with the Stormers next year? So
that's a rad
literally
story.
Yeah, so I went from that, and then I worked with UCT in the Varsity Cup and the Stormers in 2011. It all happened a bit quickly, but it was awesome. So I was basically then working with some guys who were ultimately like heroes. It was Banner for Jacques Paris. So yeah, that's good.
Big names there, Jacques Paris. Love that.
Yeah.
But Tom, so Varsity Cup success. First of all, I just want to congratulate you and the Ikeys on the season you guys had this year, with only the one narrow loss to Marty's. But Varsity Cup success isn't new to you, as you were part of that 2014 like miraculous comeback to win the Varsity Cup for the Ikeys. And so I kind of just want to pick your brain about that. Some like sports fans and sportsmen around the world that actually like kind of deem that as one of the greatest comebacks in sport. I mean, it was 21 points. I think I worked out approximately 9 minutes and 10 seconds. I mean, that's incredible. You don't find that often. So just before I focus on that campaign or whatever, I wanna read a quote I got off your website from a guy called Hugh Jones, who played in that 2014 final and subsequently went on to higher honours to play for the Scottish national side. So he says here about their Currie Cup campaign: I believe Tom was indispensable in our Currie Cup campaign. He got the team thinking and communicating at a level we hadn't been at before. As a team and as individuals, we developed a lot from his sessions. He was also a great guy to have in a team environment. I mean, those are some awesome words from an awesome player. What can you tell us anything about you? Is he a good oak? Can you just explain?
That cost me a lot, that writes up there. I'm joking.
Fair enough.
No, look, I got on very well with you. I suppose get on very well with you. He's a man after my own heart. He loves the sport. He loves banter. He loves a beer or two. And those are three things that are close to my heart. So
likewise.
Yeah. So no, like he's a great guy. He was a sort of late bloomer. He came to Cape Town on a gap year, and he played for False Bay, and then he arrived at UCT. He didn't say a word for a month, and we still take the piss out of him to this day. He didn't speak for a month, and then I think it was after a sort of like it wasn't so much of a fine session, but it became a fine session. We had like a social for varsity, and the guys, I think, all had to do skits or something like that. And then we had a few coolies afterwards, and that's when old Hugh came out of his shell, and he was the next thing he was singing.
Dutch courage.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's a good man.
So Tom, I'm gonna set the scene for you now. So it's a 2014 Varsity Cup final up in Potch, and you're 74 minutes in, and the Picker are 33-15 up, and at the end in the 83rd minute, the Ikeys scored to make it 36-33. I mean, that must have been pandemonium at the end. And what can you talk us kind of through the emotions, like the roller coaster you were feeling in that time? Because in that 9 minutes, there was a charge down drop goal, a knock on by UCT. So that must be just a roller coaster.
Yeah, but yes, it was. I mean, obviously, as you can imagine, going through a whole campaign, there's a lot of emotion, and we lost a few games, and a lot went into that campaign, and we were confident, but I don't think we were favourites for the final, but we were confident. And to be honest with you, at 60 minutes, so we have strategy breaks in Varsity Cup.
Yeah.
And I would stand on the side of the field, so the coach would send the message that he wanted to get to the team through me. So I ran on the field. And I remember saying to the coach, Kev, at the time, I said, so what do you want me to say? And he didn't have much to say.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, well, I don't really have much to say either. So anyway, I remember talking I felt they were a little bit blank. They were just all a little bit deer in the headlights. And I just asked them to just show some emotion, just try and get in touch with the emotions. Anyway, my talk was a load of shit because I think we conceded a try straight after that. But I remember then, we were going onto the side and pretty much the whole bench had been put on. And I remember sort of Joel Carew, the prop at the time, is also a Rondebosch boy. He was down on the ground and the whole game stopped. And we on the side were a bit desolate, to be honest. I think guys felt the game was over. And I know that Dean Grant, another Rondebosch boy, he was the fly-up at the time, and he got the guys together and he said to them, guys, I've got a premonition. He said, I don't know why, but I think we're going to score 3 times and win this game. I just need you to trust me. And
that's awesome.
And then he said to the referee, he said, Marius van der Vesthuizen, who's now an international referee, he said, you better make sure you allow enough time because we're going to score 3 times and you're going to buy me a beer after the game. So we were obviously like really down, and then we scored, and then there was a little bit more like, this is interesting, and then we scored again, and that's when shit got hectic.
Yeah,
you'll see on the video, we stand on the side of the field like a penalty shootout, and we all sort of linked arms, and then I remember when we scored the try, I think the bench was just absolute chaos. Everyone was running on the field, and it was a good time.
What a story! Actually, Joel Carew coached me on the 14D side, so we actually know Joel, and I know he's put as well. He coached me cricket. So, Tom, just from your perspective, what changes from the 74th minute to the 83rd? Do you think it was like you say that Dean chatted to the guys and he rallied them up? So was it tactically, or was it momentum? As sportsmen, it is very hard just to play against momentum when you're on the receiving end of it. So what do you think changed in that time?
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Robbie. I think momentum was a big thing. I don't think we didn't change anything tactically. Other than that, you just have a go. You got nothing to lose, so the shackles come off, and you just think like, well, we may as well just have a go. And then I think what happens as well, throw the kitchen sink, and then I think what happens to the opposition is they start to get tight. And they start to worry and start to defend the lead, and rather than just play rugby, they start to defend the lead. And then look, we were a bit lucky, their fly half went for a drop goal. When actually if he just turned around and kick it out, he went for a drop goal. Our flank was offside and he charged it down. So don't let anyone tell you that there's no luck involved in things. There's a lot of luck involved.
But I guess you create your own luck. So could you just before? So could you chat us through your role in that setup and how the campaign had gone prior to the final, just to get a brief understanding of what happened before that and everything like that?
I was performance coach. I think was probably my title. I would do sessions with the team. Myself and Kev became very close. Kevin Musicanti was the coach. We became very close. So we would chat about all things people, like if you just wanted someone to bounce an idea off, or what were we going to do this week, how were we going to theme the week. We used to, in fact, in that campaign we themed every week, so every week had a different theme, and then we'd like bring the theme to life through either a workshop or a different activity or something we'd do, so I was always in charge of that. We did some stuff with the leadership group, so we'd keep in touch with them and make sure that they were connected and clear on their roles. If any players wanted to do one-on-ones with me, they could. Those were sort of some of the things that I would do in that space,
Awesome. And prior to that campaign, did you go into the final underdogs? Were you guys favorites? Could you just chat us through that?
In what, Brad? The 2014 campaign?
Yeah.
So we we beat Marty's in the semi-final at home. So we definitely were confident, but I don't think we were favourites. I can't remember like what the bookies said, but I don't think we were favourites. Pico was strong, and obviously playing at home, so at altitude. So I don't think we were favourites, but we were confident we could win.
Okay, cool. And Tom, we chat about celebrated victories, and you actually just written an article about winning the downtime. Geez, the post-match celebrations must have been something special and a lot of fun. Maybe not so much fun on the flight home, but that must have been something special.
Yes, it was a good night, buddy. Yeah, shame it ended in some bad circumstances for some guys, unfortunately, which wasn't funny. But we had a good night. We got back to the hotel. I remember we stayed in this hotel that hasn't evolved since the 80s, somewhere in Pot. But it was lekker. We got into the team room and all the dads and moms were there. So they came in and we put the trophy in the middle, just got loads of beers, lots of singing, celebrating, just great energy, And then I think we all went out to some jaw, spoke to some locals. Yeah. I think I got home at about 4, I think. And
it's quite an early night, Tom. Was it a chilled one for you? Or quite an early night for you?
I was a bit younger then, buddy. I was 30. I was 30. I battle now, But I actually didn't fly home with the team. I had to do a 3.5-day workshop with a corporate. Okay. So I stayed up in Joburg. So there's a picture of me with the trophy at the airport and a pint of beer, which came up on my Facebook the other day. I drank that and then said first to everyone and had to get a rental car and drive, or actually got a taxi or something. And had to go and drive and do a workshop. Yeah, so I missed out on a few of the afters.
Totally. That sounds awesome. So Tom, this being kind of like sport orientated and whatever, I kind of decided, cool, I'm gonna have like a halftime break or a stretch break like you do in the Varsity Cup. And we're gonna play another game. Say again?
Can I get another beer in the break?
Please do. I think this is gonna be pretty funny. So I'm going to ask you a series of 7 questions, and then, but like completely random, like you wouldn't even think who came up with these. Nothing to do with you, nothing to do with me, nothing to do with sport. And then I would like you to say the first answer that comes to your head, but it doesn't have. There's no right or wrong answer. And then obviously, if something comes up that you can't say, then just say pass or whatever. You can't think of one, just pass. Okay.
Okay, let's go. Yeah.
So let's shoot, Chad. So question 1: who is Derek?
A guy that I once knew.
How old is Jeff?
57.
Respect. Where does Mrs. Smith live?
Next to Mr. Smith.
What is the worst thing you can put on bread?
Oh, peanut butter and jam.
Respect. What is your band's name?
Oh, Thomas the Tank Engine.
Love that. Why is the sun so hot?
Because it's not cold.
And last one, Tom. Who stole all the beer?
The fat guy.
Respect. Gotta love the fat guy. Cool. So that's our halftime done. Thank you. Those are some interesting answers. So could we
I
just?
I don't know if my answers are very interesting at all. I think they were quite boring, actually.
No.
Well, let's push it back on you. Who's Jeff?
Oh yeah.
Oh, where does Jeff live?
Musenberg.
Who's Derek?
A mate.
Okay. Those are the 2 I remember. What's your band's name?
The Keeping It Real with Robbies.
Okay, nice.
Sweet, some PR there. So Tom, if we could just shift our I'll focus back to rugby and sports and everything like that. Could we look at the Stormers this year? There was a Stormers side you obviously worked with that boasted 7 World Cup winning Springboks and a British and Irish Lion. In your opinion, how do you think those guys who had tasted success had an effect on the rest of the guys, and how had they continued to kind of put a massive pride in their performances and their preparation processes?
Yeah, nice, buddy. I think first and foremost, there's been a massive effort to make sure that they're integrated, so that you don't have in the squad like the World Cup box and the rest, you know.
Yeah.
So John Dobson, or Dobbo as we know him, the coach, has been really good at that and trying to make sure that everyone's on the same level, you know. So I think that's the first thing. I think ultimately they're all pretty good guys, you know. France Moab is a guy you just love to have a beer with. Kitsy's a guy you'd love to play golf with. Sia, you'll give a hug. You know, Herschel's highly professional, young, up and coming, good guy, but with a good sense of humor. Peter Steff is just an absolute machine in terms of someone you respect for his work.
Yeah.
Who else? Damien Willems is a child genius. You know, he's got work ethic like second to none, and is a really good guy, interesting guy to be around. Who's the other Bok?
Bongi.
Can't remember.
Bongi.
Bongas.
Yeah.
Bongas is he's a warrior, you know. He's got an infectious laugh and sense of humor. So actually, all of those guys make such a positive impact on the group, just as people and then as players. So in terms of working with them, you want to really get the best out of them, information-wise. You want to encourage them to share their value and share their insights that they've got. We've just been quite unlucky about is that, you know, Peter Steff got injured, Sia got injured, Bongas got injured, Herschel got injured. So actually at one point it was just Damien, France and Kitsy, you know, who were left.
Yeah.
But yeah, good guy. I don't know if I've answered your question. You can ask it again if I've spoken.
Yeah, it's just,
I think that they're good guys and they've integrated well, you know.
Just about their pride in performance and how they've kept that up, and just preparation process and everything.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a team game, so they have to do what the rest of the team does, you know.
Yeah.
They none of them are dicks, you know, so they're not going to take the piss on the train or anything like that. So they've actually been really, really good.
Yeah,
I think it is difficult for any pro sportsman to maintain that level all the time.
Yeah.
So there are natural dips, but I can't think of any of them who's had a dip in form. I think they've all been pretty good from a form point of view. It's been the injuries that have hurt them, you know.
Yeah. And so you mentioned injuries. How do you, as mentally as a player, you get, so for them, coming back from a World Cup, just winning it, and then couple games into the Super Rugby season, they get injured mentally. How do you think that affects the player and just the effect on the player that the injury has?
Yeah, I think injuries are tough for sportsmen, Robbie, and that's, I mean, as you know, like if you play sport, it becomes a large part of who you are and what you do. It gives you a sense of purpose. It gives you a sense of meaning. You know, you feel like, you really get the feeling that, like, whilst it's dangerous to attach too much identity to your profession, I think they really get a sense of worth through that.
Yeah,
and then suddenly it's taken away from you. And I think, look, call a spade a spade. I think sometimes a short injury is not the worst thing for them to have a little bit of a break. But I think anything longer, I know from Sia as an example, you know, Sia's just desperate to play. He just wants to play because, you know, you're a physical being, you're strong, you're fit, you're in the best, you're in the prime of your life. So I think it does get them down a bit. But I think those guys, they're quite good at keeping themselves occupied and doing other things and still contributing to the team, which is really important.
Yeah, love that. So Tom, over the years, you've worked with a lot of highly successful athletes. Can you identify, past and present, just any traits and tendencies that you've noticed from these players that just make them so great?
Yeah, so I'm trying not to put my own bias on it. Look, the one thing I know is that the best sportsmen, and I'd say the best people, best, most successful people
Yeah.
are intentional around what they do. So, that's why I respect you. You've decided, I want to go into this area. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it, but I'm intentional about creating an energy around sport and the psychology of sport. So in 2 weeks you started this, so that intentionality about things is important. If you're at Kohli, he's going to do this, and that's what he's going to do, and nothing's going to get in the way of him doing that. So people that float, I'm not sure that they become massively successful. People that are intentional about what they're going to do at all times, I think they're successful. And I also believe that in high performance sport, you must have intensity. There must be an intensity about how you train, what you do, how you think around the sport. Yeah, you must chill and you must relax with your families on a weekend and have a few beers if you need to, but there must be an intensity around what you do. So even for me as a coach at varsity, I really like to make sure, or try my best to make sure that there's an intensity around the way we do things. Not overly intense, so everyone, it's like, geez, I don't want to be there, this guy needs to calm down. But even if we're going to have a social, then make it an intense social. But if we're going to train, let's train hard. If we're going to be in a meeting, let's be intense. If we're going to, one of our values that we have at varsity is competition. And that really is around, like, we're always trying to be better. Like, we want to be better all the time. And yes, I don't think you can be in a space where you can find successful people who don't want to be better all the time.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then just last question before we wrap up. Could you, or can you identify players that have retired or still at the moment that kind of stand out as the ultimate professional and kind of embody just professionalism? And just basically, can you identify any people that you've noticed that have been like, okay, cool, he's got the ultimate package, or she's got the ultimate package?
Oh, good question. I mean, there's been a couple of guys I've worked with over time. I remember a guy called Nick Fenton-Wells. He captained UCT in 2011. I thought he was an outstanding professional, thought about the game, brought intensity, great leader. I think Chris Van Zyl at the Storm is now ultimate professional, very deliberate around. Another on-the-watch boy, intentional around what he eats, what he does, scheduling his time. I think Damian Willemse is going to be a great. I think Damian Willemse is an absolute professional. He thinks deeply about the game. He's the last of the training paddock. He works on his game. So those are just three guys that come to mind. I mean, I could rattle off a few more, but those guys. I was very lucky. I spent a bit of time in the IPL and with the RCB, and I observed Virat Kohli for a week, and he was, he's super professional, intense around what he does in the gym, professional when he gets to the net. Everything you did about Virat Kohli is what you see on TV. He is flipping what he wants and he goes for it. For me, he's the ultimate professional that I've seen.
Awesome. You can also see that in his performances. I mean, you look at some of the stuff on Facebook about his cover drives. It's just the sound of his shots. It sounds incredible. You can see how that kind of translates into performance. So
absolutely.
And then, so last question. Sorry, so the top of your head.
But I'm locked down. We can go for as long as you want.
I may take you up on that. So, coaches you've worked with, not sportsmen, but coaches you've worked with. What can you identify a coach or a few coaches that you've worked with and you've been like, wow, that guy's actually opened my eyes to the game? It doesn't have to be rugby; it could be cricket. I know you're quite close with Gary Kirsten, and you chat a lot to him. So could you just identify some of those guys?
Sure. Robbie, I feel like I'm prepared for this question not because you prepared me, but I feel like I've learned something different from every coach that I've worked with for a period of time. So if I take Gary, I've learned composure. If I take John Dobson, I've learned flair. If I take Dave Wessels at the Melbourne Rebels, I've learned intensity. If I take Kevin Foote, who was the Varsity Cup coach 2011 when we won, he's also now in Melbourne, I take passion. If I take Kevin Musicant, who was the 2014 Varsity Cup winning coach, I take Kevin knew how to win. He had a street smart about him. So for me, like and there've been other coaches. I'm just talking about sort of at the sort of higher level. If I think of Gary Gold, who I was lucky to work with for a bit at the Sharks, Gary Gold had an ability to look. He was look at things differently. So I feel like there's different things that I've taken from each coach, and that each coach has weaknesses and they've got their strengths,
Yeah.
And I think, so it's hard for me to say that this coach. I've been fascinated by the best parts of each coach, and also how that then translates to negative parts,
Yeah, totally. Cool. Tom, thank you so much for coming on. It was short, it was sweet, but awesome insight. Thank you so much, and I look forward to chatting soon. Hopefully we can get you on again. Next season, hopefully when the Ikeys have won the varsity cup.
Jeez, no, that will be a special time. I told the boys if we win the varsity cup, tell my wife I'll be home in 5 days,
Love that. Cool. Thank you so much, Tom.
Well done, man. Very well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Enjoy lockdown.
Yeah, I will do.
Cheers.